Get some good liberal salt going. Do a little pat there. Some cracked pepper.
How do you know what's the right amount?
Well, let's kind of eyeball it, but you want to have a good amount to where it looks like it has coated the steak liberally to where it kind of looks like you have this like carpet of seasoning. That's what you want. And I don't want to put too much salt because what I like to do is very unusual, but I will take a small amount of fish sauce. And what you do with this guy is you just take a small amount, and which, if you want to know the right amount, I just eyeball it, but you should take 3% of the weight of whatever meat product you're using, and you should add that to the steak.
So why fish oil?
Because it brings out the umami beef flavor. And then it just makes it taste good. Unusual? Yes, I know.
But you could use that as like, you know, your secret ingredient.
Yeah, you don't want to put too much though, because it'll add a lot of excess salt. Also, when you're gonna sear something, you want to get it screaming hot here. So get your pan going where it's super hot. And to make sure that you have your meat product where you can sear it, you want to make sure it's dry.
Why is that?
Can't sear wet meat. You steam it. Nobody wants steamed meat unless you're getting a hamburger. This ain't fucking White Castle. Okay, so when I'm making White Castles, we're making steak Diane.
Goddamn right.
I don't know who Diane is, but that bitch knows her steak.
What makes a Diane steak? Like, what's the difference between that and just panning?
I don't know. I think a stripper, instead of going to Waffle House, just wanted a steak one night. So here we go. And this is what we get. Nevertheless, you get a dry product, as dry as you can get it. Then we wait. We wait for this to get hot. We want it to where you gotta pull your hand on it immediately. Then you sear it. And you throw your bottle caps away. Key ingredient in cooking, beer. Yule's the chef. Alright. While we're doing this guy, I'll move that over. Get the cutting board. Shallots. Want to use shallots. They're a little milder in flavor than regular onions. Just tastes better. You don't want the acidity of the onion. So you get this guy. And you get that onion flavor without the acidity.
So what's the advantage of not having too much acidity along with the meat?
Because then it detracts and when it hits your mouth, you get that pungent onion flavor. And the star of this dish is that guy, not the onion. So we want everything to play nice. And if you want it to play nice, it's got to be balanced. If you don't have balanced food, you don't have good food.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a little mark there. That's okay. You can take that guy off. Because just like people, You have layers. And you got to get to those inside layers to get to the good shit.
So you just split it in half?
Oh no! The pan's hot now.
Is dinner done?
The pan's hot now.
That's good.
Put this to the back eye because it's very hot and I'm not ready to sear it just yet. So, alright. Let me get this and we'll sear our meat.
So you take the top skin off of the shallot?
I do, just like onion or anything else. You'll want to take the top part off. That way you're dealing with a good product. You don't have crap. Like I said, usually to get to the good stuff, you got to get past the first layer. Just like most people. Just like an onion, when you cut the root, it starts to bleed and you'll get the more acidity to it, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and put this back here. Get it hot. Alright. We'll sear this steak. So it should be. This guy's pretty hot. Let me get a little hotter. You want to hear this? That's what you want to hear, right there. Give it a little tappy tap. When you got good contact there. Let that guy sear in. Let it go for a minute.
Is there a right and a wrong way to be cutting these?
So when you cut, you want to make sure you have your knuckles back.
What happens if you don't have your knuckles back?
You cut your fucking finger off. Or you cut your finger. Either way, if you lose a digit, or if you bleed a digit, it's not a good day. It's not a good day. So you just cut those guys. People choke up on a knife, they grab here. It's really about whatever the hell you want. And then you just give that guy a nice little slice. And as you're cutting.
Does speed matter when you're cutting?
You know, if you're not familiar with the knife, speed doesn't really matter. The quality of the cut matters. Speed doesn't matter. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. I'm making a good chicken.
So,
The sharpness of the knife matters. You just get a nice little, decently fine chop. And if you want to get it further, you just slide her over like that, and you can get a finer dice. And about this point, you can feel the acidity coming out in the onion. Sounds like we got a 70s porn going on, but we're actually cooking. So, no worries. A good thing to have too is a prep bowl. So that way, when you get done chopping your product, you can just scrape her off right in there.
So can you do like a regular onion, or is the shallots just
You can do a
higher
regular
quality?
onion, that's fine, but shallot is what it calls for. Shallot's going to taste good. shallot's what you're gonna want to use.
Could you say that a shallot would elevate your cooking?
Yes. Yes. So, you kind of look at these guys, and you can see they'll tell you when they're ready to be let go. They start getting a little bit of darkness around the bottom. Let it go a little bit longer. Give it a little more sear in there. Doesn't hurt. Press it down.
Does the spatula press matter?
Doesn't matter, but it's a little hot, so you probably don't want to press with your fingers. It's not too hot. I mean, it's still cool on the top. It's because I'm searing it. I'm not cooking it. I'm searing it. So as you can see, it's not hot. 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 So, difference. Not cooking, searing. So, this little guy's smaller. So we probably want to flip this guy. That's what you want to see right there. Got that nice caramelization there. Take a look at this guy. Boom, that's what you want to see right there. Caramelization. Flip that guy. Nice caramelization in there. Now then. Let this side soak in. Let it get seared. Don't worry about the little sticky bits on the bottom. That's fine. We'll pick those up in a little bit. Let that side sear. Let it do its thing. All right. So we got some mushrooms here. These are shiitakes. You can use baby bellas. That's fine. Honestly, you don't really need to do much to these guys. Just take the stem off. The stem's a little woody, a little tough on these shiitakes. Don't really want that. So I like to take it off. These button mushrooms, don't have to worry about that. I like to use a little variety. Shiitakes, baby bellas, give them a little rough chop. Here, steak is searing just fine. So then these guys, package here. Like I said, nothing fancy, just plain old mushrooms.
Does it matter if you get the pre-cut or the holes?
Depends on what you want. If you get the pre-cut, it's a little more expensive, but if saves you time. You can cut them yourself though. Yeah, it saves you a little time. So, tastes the same. All right, let's check here what we got. Nice little sear on these guys. All right, these guys should be good. Let me clean this up. And yes, smoky. It's much less annoying if you don't have a smoke alarm like a second away from where you're cooking. Alright, as you can see, these are nice and seared in. That's what you want. So then, what we do is we take a nice hot pan, add a mushroom. Looks like a lot of mushrooms, but they cook down. So don't be deterred thinking my pan will not hold all of this. It will. They cook down.
So how long do you cook them for, or how do you know when they're done?
So they'll reduce by half. To aid that, once you put them in there, you add a little salt to them, and it brings out the moisture in the mushroom. Then add a little more flavor, get it going here. Add some Worcestershire, or Worcestershire, however you want to pronounce it. Might be French. I don't know what the hell it is. It tastes good. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We got a straggler. Alright, so just give some blood love. And as you can see, as you add a little bit of this Worcestershire, a little to a medium amount. Alright.
So you're trying to give a covering to the top, or how do you know how much is enough?
I just eyeball it, but I would say 4 or 5 tablespoons. Probably enough. As you can see, it's pretty liquidy, but we're making a sauce here. So that's perfectly fine. And what that's going to do, it's going to add flavor, that salt. It's going to bring out the liquid in these mushrooms. It's going to cook down nice, very nice. So as you can see, they're already reducing. And that's what you want. Because you want a tender mushroom. I want a tough mushroom. I want an undercooked mushroom. So, cook this down. You get that nice caramelization on there. See how I got that glossiness? And what I'll do to add a little bit here to it as well. Contaminate my butter. I will get a little bit of butter, about kind of eyeball it there, a little knob of butter.
What does that do?
That's just going to add some flavor. It's going to help thicken the sauce whenever we get ready to thicken it a little bit more. We're going to be adding heavy cream to this as well, or whipping cream. It's pretty much the same thing. So, reducing this guy down. So about this point, 1 second.
At a medium heat.
Now, put a star here. A little added effect. Add a little cognac to your dish. So you pour this guy in there. Pretty good little amount there. And what you want to do is make sure you got all the alcohol burn off, so you just you light it on fire. Don't worry, it'll cook down. Your house will not burn down. Let it do its thing. It's just cooking the alcohol out. Speaking of, Gotta get some more beer. See, no harm, no foul. The flame is gone, but the flavor is not. So, this guy is gonna be good. It smells good. It's looking good. So then, time for some more flavor. And what did I do? Nothing fancy. Great value Dijon. Dijon, that's the key. Doesn't matter if it's great value, doesn't matter if it's great Wuhan. It matters that it's Dijon mustard, which has white wine in it if you don't know.
I didn't know that.
And that is what makes it taste better. As you can see, it looks different. It's starting to look richer. It's starting to look super good. It's looking amazing. It's getting thicker. What we want to do is we want to add some cracked black pepper to this guy, because you constantly want to be adding flavor. Constantly want to be seasoning. Turn this guy down a little bit right below medium using gas heat.
Why did you turn it down?
Well, because I want it to simmer. I don't want it to boil and go crazy. And as you can see, it's bubbling pretty good here. So if I leave it up high, it's going to cook out everything I got in it. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. So, that's cooking down nice. So, here comes the shallots. Some people might say, why didn't you sweat the shallots? Well, because the shallots are more delicate than onions. So I don't want to burn them. I don't want to mess up that flavor. So I have to do that. Some people give me grief because I'm using pre-chopped garlic, but guess what? Saves time and it tastes the same. I like a big spoonful of garlic because it just fucking tastes good. As you can see, nice different colorfulness in there. It's looking good. Getting nice and thick. Tasting good, I'm sure. Don't want to taste it yet because that's just not what I want to do. Alright.
So how do you know if it's too dry or too wet or?
Well, as you can see, it's kind of thick. So I'm making a sauce. This right here would be too thick for sauce. So you might say, what do I do about that? Well, what am I making? I'm making beef. I'm making steak Diane. So what do you add to beef? You add some beef broth or beef stock. And this is going to cool things off a little bit. That's okay. Because it's going to be good.
How much do you add?
You just eyeball it until it starts looking less thick, looking like got that liquidness to it, like you see here. Just maybe half a cup, I would say, is probably what I added. You can see those shallots look nice in there, got a little purpleness to it. And then, don't forget, you'll turn, got the heat down low, you don't want to mess this up. And you add the heavy cream.
How much is that?
This is half a pint. So now you got this nice thick sauce. think. This is pretty thick. This is like really watery. Not to be deterred. Turn the heat up maybe a little bit. And you want to maybe give a little taste here. Pepper, need more Worcestershire.
So how do you know that? What are you looking for in that taste?
So it's just, you taste the pepper. You want to have that little bite of pepper, a little bite of spice. And the Worcestershire, this is a peppery dish. But it's got to cook down. So as it reduces, it may seem like a lot of pepper. It's not. A few more dashes of Worcestershire. That's why I said earlier, don't be deterred to say probably another 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire, and add another little bit of this Dijon because you want to have a bite of it.
So at this point, what are you looking out for? Like thickness or flavor, or how do you know when it's done?
You want a good thickness, and you want it to start simmering. And when all the flavors have incorporated, then you know it's done. You want to be careful on the salt here because you're adding a lot of things. Like this guy, this has a lot of salt. Gotta be careful. If you have too much salt, ruin the dish. Can't really take away salt. Make sure we're clean as we go. As you can see, it's starting to bubble a little bit. Give me another spoon so I don't cross-contaminate anything. Yeah, that's looking a little more what I'm looking for. And a nice sweetness. You want to balance it out. So, add just a touch more fancy hot sauce. I like this truff hot sauce. I've never had it. It's good. You ever had this?
Nope.
It's good. Alright. I mean, you really just add the amount you like a hot sauce. I just know to kind of eyeball it. But it's gonna mix in. And I add like a little heat profile. It's gonna be good. At this point, what you do is you take these guys. Don't waste any of that juice. See that nice juice? So you want to take these guys, put them right back in their little jacuzzi here. It's all flavor. Not smart to leave a paper towel on your stove, but yes. So take and just kind of cover these guys up, get them nice and back in your sauce here. Get them nice, playing nice with everything else. So these guys are going to finish cooking. And then you're just going to let it reduce. Just going to let this guy reduce down. And at that point, just pretty much ready. Finishing my potatoes that are boiling. Let these guys boil. Once these boil, I'm gonna make some gnocchi. So we'll be back.